Let's say you are living in the 50s. Among all the vehicles you have seen, which one you think is gonna make it as the best-selling vehicle in the United States in 30 years' time? Is it this, or maybe this one? To be honest with you, if I was the one asked this question, my answer would have been this one or this one, anything. Except this machine, which surprisingly is the one that's gonna make it to the top of the best-selling vehicles list in the United States, the Ford F-150. And no, I'm not talking about the best-selling pickup truck. Yeah, I was just like you. How did a vehicle that was used strictly for work escape its rustic predecessors and became the Americans' all-time favorite? It didn't make any sense whatsoever at first, but the more I looked at it, the more it did. Look, there has to be a reason why no vehicle is more American than the pickup truck, and the only reason I can think of, it's a master plan. It was a master plan from the start, to conquer not only the US, but rather the entire world of automobiles.
It's much worse than you think.
And since the person behind this master plan is nowhere to be found, I'm gonna assume it's the pickup truck itself. Call me crazy for believing so, but by the end of this video, you will be able to see with your own eyes how close are we to this reality. So buckle up, we have begun. Back in the days when automobiles were still scarce and overly expensive, those that were lucky enough to afford a car had to buy the chassis from an automaker. Then they had to find third parties to install the body for them or do it themselves. Some of these lucky folks needed to carry load as well as passengers, and so they asked these third parties to install a hauling box instead of the traditional body. And just like that, a new combination of automobiles came to existence, and it was referred to as a horseless wagon, and he referred to it as the pickup's first attempt to hit the road and make its master plan a reality. Was it successful? Yes and no. It succeeded in bringing this idea to existence in the US all the way from Germany. Yeah, sorry if you're American, but your country isn't the one behind the first pickup.
Is he serious?
The first one ever was designed and built in 1896 by Gottlieb Daimler of Germany. His auto company eventually became half of Mercedes-Benz, which still makes trucks for global markets. Anyway, the Americans became aware of the new possibility at their disposal, but the time wasn't right to popularize the combination of a chassis and a hauling box, for the same reasons we talked about before: the scarcity of the automobiles and their expensive price. In other words, people who needed this combination the most couldn't afford it. In 1907, Ford Motor Company introduced Model T, the first affordable automobile that you could have it painted in any color you want, as long as it's black. It made car travel possible for the middle class, thanks to its relatively low price, which was the product of efficient fabrication, including assembly line instead of individual handcrafting. And now that we have an affordable car being mass-produced, guess what would happen to this new combination? The Model T became its favorite. In fact, in 1917, Henry Ford made a specific version of the Model T chassis with extra torque and less speed to be able to haul more and called it Model TT. A year later, Chevrolet made their own chassis of a pickup based on the 490 model, and in 1925, Ford finally decided to make a complete in-house pickup to replace the homemade ones, and it was called the Model T Runabout. The automaker attached a small steel bed, adjustable tailgate, and the heavy-duty rear suspension to the car's substructure. In 1928, it was replaced by Model AA, which had a closed cab, safety glass windshield, roll-up side window, and 3-speed transmission. And just like that, the pickup's master plan to dominate the world of automobiles had officially started, and from that time the light truck sales race was on. A federal report issued a few years later showed a sharp decline in the number of farm horses. By this time, the Americans were able to buy pickup trucks from most of the automakers. In 1932, Chevrolet finally started selling steel body half-ton pickups with a factory installed bed. This was, by the way, taking place during the time of the Great Depression, which made Ford lose money and witness the shrinking of its market share due to its inaction during these difficult times, while General Motors and Chrysler saw the crisis coming, and that helped them make the right decisions, which I'm gonna sum up in 2 words: cheaper automobiles. And if you still remember, cheap was the missing part of the puzzle in the beginning of the pickup's journey. By the end of the Great Depression, General Motors became the dominant automaker, followed by Chrysler in the second spot, and Ford fell to a weak third spot in sales. And from this moment, Detroit's big 3 automakers became a thing, and they have been one-upping each other in power ever since. Ford replaced Model AA with Model BB, available with 8-cylinders engine, which outstripped V4s and V6s in both price and power, allowing for bigger beds and beefier frames that could haul more. But wait a second, for how long are we going to keep making pickups based on sedan models? In fact, the sales were ramping up, which means we were so damn close like never before to a standalone model. But unfortunately, we don't always get what we want. Winds blow sometimes, counter to what vessels desire.
A state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese
Within several weeks, all production and sales of passengers automobiles were frozen by the US government and quickly converted to the wartime effort. The auto industry retooled to manufacture tanks, trucks, jeeps, airplanes, bombs, and so on. Yes, the war was unfortunate, but how can we deny the important role it played in speeding up the transition of the pickup trucks from utility vehicles to everyday daily drivers? Look at this beautiful pickup made by Ford in 1945. With the war coming to an end, General Motors and the other auto companies began shifting back to their normal production plans. Access to personal transportation became a necessity for daily life. Pickup trucks were the first civilian vehicles to come back after the war because they were exactly what a country would need in a peaceful economy. In early 1947, Chevrolet cut the ground from under Ford's feet with its advanced design trucks, the first completely redesigned General Motors vehicles to appear after World War II. Earlier pickup models owners asked for roomier and more comfortable cab, with improved visibility and a wider box. These new series were called Chevrolet Advanced Design trucks. They were promoted as being larger, stronger, and of a sleeker design in comparison to their pre-war truck models, and that made them the #1 selling pickup trucks in the US. Ford was also working on its next generation of pickup trucks, which would come to be known as the F-Series bonus-built trucks. The F-Series would no longer be a car-based pickups. In a time when the Americans had become interested in pickup trucks for more than just farm workers, the vehicle on the screen right now is the one that's going to become 7 generations later the best-selling pickup truck in the United States, specifically in 1981. But before we jump there, let us not miss one of the important phases in our master plan. During the 50s and 60s, the demand for capable automobiles kept going up, and the automotive industry kept trying to meet people's demand by producing even larger and stronger automobiles with power that the customers would probably never need or use. With the oil crisis of 1973, the government had to step in 1975 and enact a new law called CAFE that would compel car makers to produce fuel-efficient automobiles. To our surprise, the pickup trucks were excluded from this law, which means they didn't need to meet the fuel efficiency standards. Probably the car makers, knowing that the American auto market had always loved pickups, lobbied to make it happen. As a result, the pickup trucks became cheaper to make and easier to put powerful engines in, and as a side effect of the CAFE law, the relatively cheaper price of the pickups attracted more people to them. In 1976, 1 year after this new law, the Ford F-150 became the best-selling pickup truck in the US, and not too much after that it became the best-selling vehicle, and it's been so ever since. And just like that, my friend, the first phase of the pickups master plan is a huge success. Now it's time for the final and most important phase. Allow me to put you in the pickup truck's shoes for a bit, okay? If you want to be the world's best-selling vehicle, how would you go about doing it? I'll give you 3 seconds to think. Exactly. By becoming luxurious so that you appeal to wealthy people. Upon whom the lenses of the media's cameras are most of the time. Detroit's big 3 automakers realized how difficult it was to compete with the German luxurious sedans or the Italian exotic sports cars, so that they resorted to the ever-increasing passengers vehicles with 5 seats and a cargo bed to turn them into luxurious rides. And guess what? It worked. Pickup trucks have become the modern-day station wagons and family cars with increased fuel economy, luxury and utility. Modern pickup trucks are not only coming with astonishing capabilities like acceleration and towing capacity, but also outfitted with leather seats and a host of creature comforts, from the inbuilt computer and audio system to the heated and cooled cup holders. To sum up, modern day pickup owners got it all. That's why you shouldn't be surprised when I tell you that the pickup truck in front of your screen right now was named Luxury Car of the Year in 2020 by Cars.com, and it's the first time a pickup truck to win Cars.com's Luxury of the Year award, and of course it won't be the last. And just like that, we have reached the time when the Americans' all-time favorite vehicle exists in every configuration possible. Or is it?
It's a pickup truck that can carry a pickup truck.
It's gonna look like a camel from a reset.
Welcome to the Cybertruck unveil.
This guy right here believes that the pickup trucks haven't reached their full potential. They are still miles away from existing in every configuration possible. It's been almost 100 years since Ford made the Model T runabout, but compare its design to a modern truck and you will be able to see that the design is fundamentally the same. And so Elon Musk decided to make his pickup truck undergo a huge fundamental redesign, and the result is a bulletproof electric pickup truck that can tow and haul more in silence, with an autonomous driving system and access to the internet from the Starlink satellite. it. And of course we wouldn't be able to call it a fundamental redesign if it wasn't for the exoskeleton instead of body-on-frame design, which is the typical for this type of vehicles. This exoskeleton is made of super hard cold-rolled stainless steel, designated with the code 30X. In fact, it is the same steel Elon Musk uses for the super heavy Starship launch vehicle that his company SpaceX is building, which is basically the reason for this polarizing design, because such strong stainless steel makes it difficult to have soft corners. So instead of going for a military design that would appeal only to people that are into military, Elon opted for a design that would appeal to those that are into military, as well as people that love science fiction and futuristic designs. In addition to that, the Cybertruck is going to be able to accelerate from 0 to 60 in less than 2.9 seconds in the tri-motor version, which makes it the fastest pickup truck ever. So you basically wouldn't be wrong if you call it an electric sports pickup truck, the perfect machine anyone would need in an apocalypse. This all-in-one property made the police forces of some countries express their desire to upgrade their cruisers with it. And of course, the rest of the automakers didn't allow themselves to watch Elon Musk enjoy the EV pickup market alone. Instead, they decided to turn it into an EV pickup war, especially after plenty of them committed to no longer develop gas engines. General Motors decided to bring its controversial Hummer back as an all-electric super truck, and the rest of the automakers followed a similar path by making electric versions of their popular pickup trucks. And what makes this war even more interesting is the fact that it is not only exclusively between traditional players, but also joined with new American automobile startups. Take this vehicle for example, which is the first EV to arrive as a pickup, the Rivian R1T. It's gorgeous, isn't it? If you tell me it's made by a fresh American startup, I take that. But when you tell me that this new company's market value is higher than that of Ford, I start getting conquering the world vibes. It was named by Motor Trend as the 2022 Truck of the Year, which sets the stakes high for the 8 pickups by 8 different manufacturers that are coming soon. Yes, my friend, one single automaker was able to create all of this hype by delivering a small number of pickups. Now I want you to tell me, what do you think would happen when the Cybertruck comes out, or the F-150 Lightning, or the zero emissions, zero limits, all electric super truck? So, do you still believe that I was hallucinating when I said that the pickup truck will not settle until it becomes the world's dominant? Look, it's as if the history is repeating itself. We are in the middle of the biggest revolution in motoring since Henry Ford. The electric car market growth is going to be similar to that of the internet. It started close to zero, and once the price fall, it experienced an exponential growth during the last decade or so. It's been experiencing a slowdown due to market saturation, the typical S-curve. The EV market is about where the internet was in the late 90s, but even so we have just showed the similarities between the internet and the EV growth in general. How does that explain why the pickup truck is definitely going to be the dominant automaker in the entire planet? I will give you 4 reasons: the first, the second, the third, and finally. Look, we have already established that the pickup truck has become the everyday family vehicle, right? And based on that, the automakers will be able to integrate the additional price of the EV component easily in a pickup truck than in a sedan or a compact car. Plus, being larger means extra space for the battery pack. So it's only a matter of time before the pickup truck as the dominant automobile becomes a reality. Hopefully this time, the pickup truck will not need a world war to make it happen.